Welcome in, belly up, have a seat, and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman fantasy football. Welcome into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 71, and we are at the bar for a Thanksgiving special. And this is going to be a mammoth episode, our longest episode of the entire season. All right, guys, but before we get any further along, let's make sure that everybody is in the room.
Wingmen assemble!
All right, now that everyone is here, like I said, this is going to be a mammoth episode, and I want to wish you guys all a happy Thanksgiving. All right, in this episode, we are going to go over the Week 11 Rewind, check in on our Goosometer, go over our Trade Watch, take a look at the updated standings. I also unveil a new segment called Mike Rants, and we'll look at the upcoming slate for the NFL games for this holiday weekend, as well as check in on the player news, look into our league's matchups, take a look at that waiver wire, take a gander at the updated power rankings, dive into the mailbag, and we're going to have some special guests tonight, and we are going to get into a game of the Fantasy Feud. But before we do all that, let's check in on the theme for Week 11. And the theme for this past week was teams winning despite injuries with their players, as we had Achane, Burrow, and Aaron Jones all leave early and have dud games, and their managers were able to survive and still get the win. Also, our Detroit players are killing it, as Lion Eyes had 3 Detroit Lions in his lineup as Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jahmyr Gibbs, and they just keep on performing well. All right, guys, let's check in on the Week 11 Rewind.
Let's go back! Week 11 Rewind.
All right, guys, we are going to get into it and check in on our very first game. In this one, we had a matchup between Nick's Waddle Away up against Michael's Amazing Spidey, and Nick's Waddle Away came in with a huge upset.
Average Joe's wins in a shocking upset.
I feel shocked.
Waddle Away was able to defeat Amazing Spidey, our number 1 seed, by the score of 99.20 to 93.08. This was our closest game of the week at 0.6 points. Closest game of the week at just over a 6-point differential. And this is back-to-back weeks where Waddle Away had the upset victory. Let's check in on what players helped Waddle Away get to this monster victory, as Tua Tagovailoa had 21.6 points. DJ Moore had 19.1 points. Tony Pollard had 16.0 points. And Cortland keeps doing something, as he had 14.6 points.
He's heating up!
And Justin Tucker had 11 points even. As for his duds, he had Devon Achane get only 1 point even. There was no one on his bench who could have played, and he did have an injury, as, like I said, Devon Achane left the game early with a knee injury.
Oh, no.
We're not sure at the moment if he's going to miss any time going into the holiday weekend. All right, let's check in on Amazing Spidey's scores here, as he had Christian McCaffrey get 18.8 points. Devontae Adams had 17.7 points. And this was his first game on the top performer list since week 3. Also, he had Puka Nacua get 16.2 points.
Hakuna Matata.
As for the surprise for Amazing Spidey, he had 2 running backs make his dud list. the first time all year that his strength of position of running back had let him down, as Josh Jacobs had 5.6 points and Derrick Henry for the second straight week had a subpar game at 4.9 points. The problem for Spidey was he had a lot of players on his bench who could have helped and turned this game around to get the victory, starting with Brock Purdy had 26.72 points on the bench.
He's on fire!
Kyler Murray had 23.66 points on the bench.
He's heating up!
And George Kittle keeps getting it done as he had 18.9 points on the bench.
He's on fire!
All right, let's check in on our next game as we had Red Sox Nation up against Ken's Tampa Brady. These two teams were tied going into this week, both at 5-5, but Red Sox Nation was able to defeat Ken's Tampa Brady of a score of 101.24 to 86.30. For Ken, he just can't get that elusive 2-game winning streak as he lost after a win once again. Let's find out what players helped Red Sox Nation secure this victory, as Tyreek Hill had 25.6 points, and the Dallas defense keeps getting it done at 19-point even.
He's heating up!
And Breece Hall had 15.8 points. As for his duds, he had Joe Burrow, who left the game early with a wrist injury, had 8.74 points. He did have a couple players on his bench who had some strong games, as Jordan Love got 20.88 points on the bench.
He's heating up!
And James Cook had 17.7 points on the bench.
He's heating up!
As for injuries, like I said before, Joe Burrow left the game early with a wrist injury, and he is now going to be out for the rest of the season.
Oh, no.
All right, let's check in on the scores for Tampa Brady here. Despite his low score, he did have some strong players who played for him this week, as newly acquired Justin Herbert had 25.7 points.
He's heating up!
And his teammate Keenan Allen had 22.6 points.
He's heating up!
And the kicker he picked up last week, Jason Myers, once again had a strong game at 15 points even.
He's heating up!
As for his duds, he had Najee Harris get 4.1 points, and Marquise Hollywood Doodoo Brown got only 2 points. As for some strong players that he had on his bench, Trevor Lawrence finally had a good game. He had 32.18 points, albeit on the bench. And Josh Dobbs, the Jostronaut, had 20.94 points on the bench.
He's on fire!
And Gus Edwards had 20 points even, and this is 5 straight games where Gus Edwards has scored a touchdown. On to our next game, and this too was a big game as Corey's Mac Daddy 2s up against Paul's Cubert Rage. Corey Mac Daddy 2 needed to rebound after last week's tough loss to Reggie's Lion Eyes, and he came back with a vengeance as he had an upset victory this week.
Average Joe's wins in a shocking upset.
I feel shocked.
Mac Daddy 2s had 126.46 points to Paul's Cubert Rage 97.2 points. Let's see. Mac Daddy 2s had the highest score of the week, and Cubert's Rage was the highest scoring loser of the week.
You lose!
Let's find out what players helped get Mac Daddy 2's victory. As Saquon Barkley had 28 points, Justin Fields had 21.16 points.
Welcome back.
He also had Devin Singletary, the Houston running back, had 18.8 points.
He's heating up!
DeAndre Swift had 18.2 points on Monday night. CD Lamb keeps chugging along at 13.5 points. And kicker Evan McPherson had 10 points even.
He's heating up!
Let's check in as Corey's Mac Daddy 2s had 0 duds as he had a very high scoring team, of course. And he did have one bench player who had a strong game. Brandon McManus, kicker for the Jaguars, had 10 points, but so did his starter, Evan McPherson. He did have some injuries. Both of these players were bench players, so they didn't affect his outcome, as Chris Godwin got a little banged up with a knee injury, and Geno Smith left the game but did return on the final drive with an elbow injury.
Oh, no.
I am not certain at this time if either of these guys are going to miss any time. I would guess that they will not, but I am not sure at this point. All right, as for Cubert's Rage team, let's check on his top scorers as he had Josh Allen keeps chugging along, getting 24.5 points. Also, his kicker, also for the Buffalo Bills, Tyler Bass had 17 points. And Rachaad White, again, keeps getting it done at 14.8 points. And Travis Kelce had a rebound game, getting 13.9 points. And Mike Evans had 12.8 points.
He's heating up.
As for his duds, he had Stephon Diggs get 4.7 points. And this is back-to-back games where he has had a dud from Stephon Diggs. Now, here's a note I want you guys to know. As the bench scorers, as Cubert's Rage bench had 118 points. He could have played any combination of players and he would have had a strong game, but he would not have been able to catch up to the high-flying Mac Daddy 2s. Let's check in on his bench performers. He had 5 players who had strong games on his bench, as he had Tank Dell get 24.9 points on the bench.
He's on fire.
Sam Howell keeps chugging along, getting 23.7 points on the bench. Jaylen Warren, Pittsburgh running back, had 22 points on the bench.
Fire.
DK Metcalf had a strong game at 17.9 points.
He's heating up.
And David Montgomery, I don't know how he sat this guy, but it was just the way his team worked out this week. David Montgomery had 16.8 points.
He's heating up.
All right, let's check in on our next game. This was Katie's King George up against Bernie's Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
And Katie's King George was able to defeat Team B with a couple of low scores for both these teams at 80.16 to 52.94. Katie's King George needed Team B to be the slump buster to end her 3-game losing streak. Let's see how she had her score, as Lamar Jackson had 23.96 points. The Buffalo defense had 18 points, and Adam Thielen had 11.4 points. As for her duds, she had Aaron Jones lead the game early, getting 2.2 points, and Garrett Wilson was only able to get 1.9 and didn't get a catch until the backup quarterback Boyle came in for the Jets. As for her strong bench players, CJ Superstar keeps getting it done at 21.44 points.
He's on fire.
And Brian Robinson, Commanders running back, just keeps getting strong games at 16.6 points.
He's on fire.
She did have the injury, like I said before, to Aaron Jones, who left the game early with a knee injury.
Oh, no.
At this point, it is to be expected that he is going to miss the game this weekend as they play on Thursday. Let's check in on Bernie's Team B, as he has now lost 7 games in a row, and he is as cold as ice.
You're as cold as ice.
Team B also had the lowest score of the week for the second consecutive week. There's not a lot of good to go over on this one right now. His only top performer was newly acquired kicker Jason Sanders for the Dolphins, had 11 points. He did have a couple of duds, as Kenneth Walker, Texas Don't Be a Stranger, had 2.3 points as he left the game early. And A.J. Brown had a surprising dud, getting only, one catch for 1.3 points. As for some players that were on his bench that had strong games and may have been able to make a difference, as he had Calvin Manley get 27.6 points on the bench. DeAndre Nuke Hopkins had 13.9 points on the bench, and Ty Chandler had 13 points on the bench. As for his injuries, like I said before, Kenneth Walker left the game early with an oblique injury.
Oh, no.
I am going to venture to say that he is most likely going to miss this weekend's games. On to our final game of the slate. We have Reggie's Lion Eyes up against Alex's They Took Our Jobs. And this was another battle of two teams who were 5-5 going into this matchup. And Lion Eyes was able to defeat They Took Our Jobs 107.34 to 66.6. This was our biggest blowout of the week at just over 41 points. And Reggie's Lion Eyes has now won 6 wins in a row. This is the longest winning streak of any team this season, and of course, the longest active winning streak, and he is rolling. All right, let's check in on the players that helped Lion Eyes get this 6th straight victory. We're going to start off with Brandon Ayuk can do it, get 24.1 points.
Hadouken! He's on fire!
Also, Jared Goff had 19.74 points.
He's heating up!
He had Jahmyr Gibbs do it once again, getting 18.5 points. And also, Amon-Ra St. Brown keeps chugging along, getting 17.7 points. And I have to mention again that Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, has been on the top performer list in every single game that he has played. He missed one game due to injury, but every other game that he has played, he has been on the top performer list. Also, his 3 Lions got about 56 points once again, showing that the Lions offense was a team that you want to ride with. As he had no duds, and he did have some strong bench players of Joe Mixon at 18.5 points, and Jaden Reed, the receiver for the Green Bay Packers, had 17.2 points.
He's heating up!
Pardon me for that little delay here. All right, let's check in on Alex's Day Took Our Jobs, as he had Jalen Hulu has live sports continue to chug along, getting 20.9 points. And Romeo Dobbs showed up getting 13.8 points. He did have a couple of duds, and he had Amari Cooper get only 5.4 points, and Cooper Kupp get only 1.6 points. There was no one on his bench who could have helped this week, and he did have an injury as Cooper Kupp left the game early with a low-grade ankle sprain.
Oh, no!
It is unclear right now if he is going to be able to play this week. All right, guys, let's check in on our Goose-O-meter.
I'm just cruising along.
All right, guys, we are still at 7 gooses as Red Sox Nation leads this list with 2 gooses, followed by Team B, They Took Our Jobs, Tampa Brady, King George, and of course, Mac Daddy Twos, who had the voluntary goose. All right, now it is time to check in on our trade watch. Buy, sell.
Weekend Fantasy Football Trade Watch.
All right, let's start off with this in the simplest way possible here. We're going to go over the Amazing Spidey with Red Sox Nation trade, where Amazing Spidey acquired Davante Adams in exchange for Raheem Mostert. So through, Davante Adams has been started in all 3 games since he's joined Amazing Spidey. And in those games, he has scored a total of 34.7 points, making his average per start at 11.6 points, much more respectable than he had been. And Red Sox Nation with Raheem Mostert, he's played him only twice due to a bye week. And in those 2 games, Mostert is scoring a total of 24.3 points. So he is averaging per start in Red Sox Nation lineup as 12.2 points. All right, on to our other trade, where Amazing Spidey acquired Derrick Henry in exchange for Justin Herbert, who he sent to Tampa Brady. So Derrick Henry, through 3 games since he's been on the team, has scored 25.5 points. However, he has only been started in two games, and he is averaging 11.8 points in the 2 games started for Amazing Spidey. As for Tampa Brady, Justin Herbert has been started in all 3 games since joining Tampa Brady, and in those 3 games, he has scored a total of 63.3 points, giving him an average of 21.1 points. So if you want to just go the plus minus for average start, Red Sox Nation is up by 0.6 points per start in that trade, and Tampa Brady is up by just by 9.5 points over Amazing Spidey. So let's check in on the what if game. I know this is getting a little harder to follow the further we get out. But through 3 games here, Amazing Spidey is now a minus 11.96 points total. So through this trade, he has given up almost 12 points in total score. But none of these games have affected the outcome, as the margins were for example, this week, Amazing Spidey lost by 6.3 points. He gained 2.8 points. That just made his margin smaller. So through this 3 weeks, Amazing Spidey is 2-1, but he would have been 2-1 with or without making this trade. Let's check in on Red Sox Nation, and we're going to do this a little simpler instead of reading this all out. Over the 3 weeks, Red Sox Nation is now minus 4.1 points. So 2 teams at minus points after making the trade. And Red Sox Nation is at 1-2, and none of the outcomes would have changed. He won this week by 14.94 points. He gave up 9.9 points this week, so he would have won by even more if he didn't make the trade, but he would have won nonetheless. Now checking in on Tampa Brady through his 3 games with his new players, he is actually up. He's the only player in these teams that have gotten better. Of course, he acquired a quarterback, and they generally score more points, but he is now up 6.3 points overall since making the trade. His record over that span is 1-2, and none of his outcomes would have changed. He would have been 1-2 with or without the trade, but he did increase his overall points by 6.3 points. All right, guys, let's check in on the standings. All right, guys, our top 4 players did not move in the standings. However, both our 1 and 2 seeds both lost this week, squishing the standings a lot closer. And the biggest news here is that Lion Eyes is now moved up to 5th place, and he has exactly what he wants. All his goals are right in front of him, as if he wins out, he will be the number 2 seed after starting off 0-5. He does have a couple tough matchups coming up here. But he does have a chance to move all the way up. And in fairness, I think Mac Daddy 2s and Tampa Brady all still have a chance to win the even division, as all these guys have a chance to have similar division records, and it's going to come down to points. They're going to have to pass Amazing Spidey because he is so far gone in points, but they can still catch him and in a division record, as Amazing Spidey still has 2 division games left in his last 3 games. All right, guys, as you can tell, this is going to be a very long episode, so we are going to take a quick commercial break. Today's episode is brought to you by Toothpaste. Toothpaste, use it. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend toothpaste. Toothpaste, it's like soap for your teeth. Welcome back, everybody, from that short commercial break. We are going to unveil a new segment called Mike Rants. But before we do that, I forgot while we were going over the updated standings to mention that poor Team B has been eliminated from the playoffs. No matter what he does, if he wins every other game, he is not going to make it. Now, I want to thank Team B for his enthusiasm, his good nature, and understanding that his team was bad from the get-go. Let's do one more. Yahoo said you weren't going to win any games, and you won 2 games right away. And if you would have played the right lineups, made better decisions, you probably could have won even more. But that's how fantasy football goes. I'm going to pour one out for you, Team B, and wish you better luck next year. And thank you for playing. All right, now let's get into our new segment, Mike Rants.
Baby Rant, Karen Rant, Monty.
I don't care whose fault it is. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think.
Mike Rant.
All right, so here we go. Did you guys watch that Monday Night Football game with the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Kansas City Chiefs? I went into that game down only 18 points with Patrick Mahomes and the kicker Butker versus Devontae Smith. And all I had to do, now the way I look at it is I like to get that stack to get about 35 points. And if they would have done that, we would have won even with Devontae Smith having a good game. The thing that made it so infuriating was the Kansas City Chiefs were driving down. I was only down by 1 point. I could have taken any score. A field goal would work. A passing touchdown would work. Even a rushing touchdown with an extra point would have drawn it within fractions of a point, and it would have given Kansas City even a bigger lead. But they threw it to Kelsey, who was distracted without his Swifty bestie there, and he fumbled at the 5-yard line, and no points were to be had. And then they stopped him. They got the ball back again. They drove the ball down to the 37-yard line. Now, that would have been a long kick, granted, a 54-yard kick, but Butker can make that. They decided to punt it, and they punted it into the end zone, so they got a net gain of 17 yards. And that was the drive where Devontae Smith caught 2 catches, including the 41-yard bomb to the 1-yard line. And even then, we were still in it. All we had to do was get 50 yards and a touchdown pass by Mahomes, and the extra point would have given us 7 points to take over the 6.5-point deficit we had even in late in the fourth quarter. And it looked like it might happen as Patrick Mahomes dropped back through a perfect pass from 50 yards out to MVS. And what did he do? He did what MVS does. He dropped the ball. If he catches that for a 50-yard touchdown, Amazing Spidey has the biggest comeback ever. Very frustrating. Very frustrating indeed. So that was my first installment of Mike's rant. I don't expect you to feel sorry for me. I just had to get that off my chest. All right, guys, now let's check in on some news and notes. All right, guys, we have a full slate of games this holiday weekend, and there are no teams on bye, and the schedule is wonky. So you're going to want to pay attention to make sure you set the best lineup possible. All right, let's set the schedule for this holiday weekend's games. We're going to start with our Monday night game. We're going to work backwards. We have the Chicago Bears heading over to Minnesota to take on the Vikings at 8:15 p.m. on Monday night. Then our Sunday night game, we have the Baltimore Ravens heading out to L.A. to take on the Chargers, where they will undoubtedly have more Ravens fans in the building than Charger fans. And that game is at 8:20 p.m. on Sunday night. And schedule alert, the NFL will be unveiling their very first Black Friday game as the Miami Dolphins take on their division rival, the New York Jets, at 3 p.m. on Friday. So do not forget to set your lineup, as I know we have a lot of Dolphins players in our managers' teams. So don't forget, Friday at 3 o'clock, the Dolphins are playing the Jets. And then this Thursday, there are 3 Thursday games as the San Francisco 49ers are heading to Seattle to take on the NFC West opponent there for a divisional clash, as they're both trying to get first place in the NFC West. And that game's going to be at 8:20 p.m. Thursday night. The Commanders are going to be going to Dallas to be sacrificed against the Cowboys at 4:30 p.m. on Thanksgiving. And the Green Bay Packers will be taking on the Detroit Lionized at 12:30. So please check your lineups and set them accordingly. All right, as for other player news and practice reports, Joe Flacco has signed with the Cleveland Browns, which means that their starting quarterback now has a short leash. Trevor Siemian has also joined the New York Jets, and he will be the backup this week, backing up Doyle, sliding Zach Wilson to the third-string quarterback position. Green Bay running back Aaron Jones is expected to be inactive today on Thanksgiving in their game against Detroit. Houston running back Dameon Pierce has returned to practice in full this week and looks like he may make his return. Minnesota wide receiver Justin Jefferson has been practicing but may miss one more week, and they may wait till his return to after the Week 13 bye week. So he might not return to Week 14. I would say that's the 95% likeliest outcome. The problem is here, he's playing Monday night. So King George is pretty much going to have to not play him, even if he does play. But he's expected to miss one more week and not return till after the Week 13 bye. Seattle quarterback Geno Smith is expected to play through his elbow injury on Thursday night. Seattle running back Kenneth Walker, Texas Ranger, is not going to play in that very same game. L.A. Rams running back Kyren Williams has been designated to return, and he is expected to be activated. So Kyren Williams is expected to make his return this week against the Arizona Cardinals. The New Orleans Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas has been placed on IR. I don't know if this is short-term or long-term, but at this time of the season, being out 4 weeks, and he's not been that good, I would say his season is over. New Orleans quarterback Derek Carr has been practicing in full and should be able to play, while Washington running back Antonio Gibson will truly be a game-time decision on the Thanksgiving Day game against the Cowboys. LA Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp is being deemed day-to-day and is going to be questionable heading into Sunday's game. Miami Dolphins rookie running back Devon the Man Achane has been practicing in a limited capacity and will be a game-time decision on Friday. Philadelphia tight end Dallas Goedert will miss another game with his arm fracture, but he has not been placed on the IR, so he could return in the next week or two. And Cincinnati wide receiver T. Higgins has still not returned to practice, leaving his Sunday's game status in doubt. All right, guys, let's find out who's playing who in this week's matchups.
This week's matchup.
All right, we start off with a divisional game of the even division as the number 1 seed, Amazing Spidey, at 7-4, is playing against Corey's Mac Daddy 2s at 5-6. Mac Daddy 2s has been hot despite his loss a week and a half ago, but he has been playing very well, winning 4 out of 5 games, and he can finally get back to 500 with a win this week. And the win this week will also help him have a chance to get the number 2 seed and win the even division. On our next game, we have Jimerson's Red Sox Nation at 6-5 up against the slump buster Bernie's Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
At 2-9. Also, we have Alex's They Took Our Jobs up at 5-6 up against Katie's King George at 7-4, and Paul's Cubert Rage at 7-4. Trying to rebound off of last week's loss is going against Ken's Tampa Brady at 5-6, and Tampa Brady needs this win bad. And at 5-6, Nick's Waddle Away is up against the hottest team in the land, Reggie's Line Eyes, who is at 6-5. All right, guys, let's check in on the waiver wire, and it was very light this week. So we had 2 waiver claims this week, and 0 NFL players received multiple bids. We had Odell Beckham Jr. go to Line Eyes for $2, while the Tennessee defense went to Mac Daddy 2s for $2. All right, guys, now let's check in on our power rankings.
I have the power!
By the power of Grayskull.
I'm living in it, no one man should have all that power.
Wingman Power Rankings.
All right, guys, as you see here, our top 3 have not changed as Amazing Spidey, They Took Our Jobs, and King George start off our 1, 2, and 3. Now we had some bigger changes. Mac Daddy 2s moved all the way up to 4, while Lion Eyes moved up to 5 in the power rankings. Cubert Rage dropped 1, Tampa Brady dropped 2, Team B moved up 1, and Red Sox Nation had the biggest hit, dropping from 4th to 9th in the power rankings. All right, guys, it is my pleasure to bring in 2 guests tonight to join me at the bar, starting off here with Mr. Ken T, a.k.a. Tampa Brady for the 2nd time in a row, and Mr. Team B, Bernie. How are you fellows doing tonight? Ken, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. turn into a regular like Bruno here.
Yes. And Mr. Team B, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing well, Michael. How are you doing? And welcome, Ken, co-host.
Nice. Can I ask you, Mr. Team B, what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, well, when we started, it was a mimosa because we're having mimosas tomorrow. So I went ahead and opened up the batch tonight, but it's almost done. So I might have to go get a refill.
Okay. And Mr. Ken, what are you drinking this evening?
I'm drinking some single barrel whiskey here.
Nice.
Good. I am also almost out. So
okay. Well, I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight on a Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, and I want to wish you both a happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you, Michael.
You too, Mike.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Perfect. So I don't know if you guys recall, but you guys were both on our last year's Thanksgiving special of At the Bar. Do you remember that?
Oh,
I do.
I remember it, but I didn't recall that it was a Thanksgiving special.
Yeah, I didn't remember that either.
Yep. So you guys are officially locked in for the rest of your lives on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
All right, then I'm claiming Detroit. Then I'll be Detroit. Ken, you can pick whoever you want to be.
Oh, so I have to be the Cowboys?
All right, guys. Let me start off with a few questions for you guys. Ken, we talked last week how you had yet to win 2 games in a row, and you had a chance last week, but you fell short just again. So you still haven't won 2 games in a row yet this season.
Yeah, it's brutal, and I could have made a couple adjustments and played a couple different players, and didn't, and I lost again to Mike. So Mike, enjoy that win because I just like losing to you, I guess. So
you called it. You called it last week, and it came to fruition that these end of season matchups between you and Red Sox Nation have been tough for you.
That's right.
Team B, I'm sure you are aware of this, but it's official. You have been eliminated from this year's Wingman Cup playoffs. Yep.
Yeah, it was a rough sled, and it was pretty much the same script as always. Points on the bench, and probably enough to come out with a victory because I played somebody that didn't have a great week.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much me every week too, Mike. There, Bruno. So, sorry.
Thank you.
So with the strong bench play of Calvin Risky, who's out of your lineup, are you considering putting him back in the lineup, or is he staying on the bench and just going to do his work on there?
No, for the rest of the season, I will be hitting the play optimal player button that Yahoo now provides.
Oh, so you're not trying to knock people out?
No, I am. I'm probably going to go back and tinker and screw it up. So,
you're going to start beating everyone now. So now that's not worth it.
No, that's
right,
not worth
right.
It. And you know who I have left? Maybe somebody good. So,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Mikey.
No, you're fine. You're fine. As Ken and I were talking last week, how you had Justin Herbert, his first game on your team after the trade, he had a very poor game, and then last week a week and a half ago, he had a great game. This past weekend, he had 25 points. So, are you starting to feel like he's more of a consistent player for you now that he's been 2 for 3 with very strong games?
I do. I still fear because the Chargers just suck.
That's true. That's true.
I look at their overall play, not just fantasy, and any team that can't win games always feels like a risk in fantasy. And because you can't win games, so if you can't score the most points, then your fantasy points usually suffer. So far, though, hasn't been the case for him.
Yeah, it's been a nice connection between him and Keenan Allen in terms of fantasy. Obviously, they're always had a great connection on the field, but now you're getting the benefit of both those players getting points at one time.
Right.
Hey, Ken, what week did you acquire?
But Mr. Bernie,
Justin?
this is we're not ragging on you, I swear. But I was going to say we have the players here who were involved in our largest blowout victory. As 2 weeks ago, we had Ken's Tampa Brady defeat Bernie's Team B by, what was it? Do you remember how much you lost by, Bernie?
It was over 100, I believe.
That's right. Yes, it was.
It was 102 points or something like that.
Here. Over 102.
Let me get my calculator out here. My abacus is packed away for the summer.
There's not that many buttons on the calculator, buddy.
Yeah. I need a TI-81.
Oh,
All right, guys. Well, do you mind to help me out and dive into this week's mailbag?
let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right.
You've got mail.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Mailbag. All right. Our first one comes in from Keith. This was a YouTube comment, and this one says, what are your thoughts on adding a dedicated tight end spot to our roster? I'm going to do a quick answer here. I personally don't care for it, as tight ends are the least interesting position, or one of them. So I'm going to let Ken, you can expound. What do you think about adding a tight end to our rosters?
No thanks.
Pardon me. I wasn't ready for that. That was succinct, right to the point. Is perfect. All right. Well, Keith, this was your question. So what is your thought on it? Was just a curiousness, or are you
just
lobbying to add the tight end to our league?
Just a curiousness. I just thought, with the tight end position where you have to draft a tight end, it would make the draft a little bit more interesting. We have only 10 teams this year, so that kind of opens up the field where there's only 10 tight ends that really need to go. It just makes it a little bit more, interesting. And I thought, because I was so bad this year, that any excuse to make myself feel better, it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I do agree. It would make the draft a little bit more competitive because people would actually have to go for a tight end. The thing I don't like about it is
that you have to play a tight end.
There's just no, if you don't have one of the top 5, then there's nothing left. There's nothing. There's no points. There's almost a dead bench spot. And I hate that I can't put a player there that can even compete. Because when you look at it in the line, he can't even compete if I don't get that high end pick. And even though it's a starting spot, I hate drafting that position more than any. I feel like it's just the same for you and a quarterback. You love grabbing quarterbacks late, right? And the difference is a mediocre quarterback versus the 7th quarterback is exactly the same,
right? Plus
or minus a couple points. So the only difference with the 7th quarterback is he's more consistent week over week. But if you stream and you're like last year, you were really good at streaming, you can have higher points than my 7th pick, right? The 7th quarterback off the list. So it's like, but tight ends, you can't stream tight ends really, especially if everyone needs one, they're just not going to be there.
Okay, and that's a valid
I
question.
Like, not that I like. We've had the tight ends before when we've had 6.
No, go ahead. What was that?
Go ahead, Bernie. My mistake.
That's okay. So just a question for both of you. Without looking, I want you guys to tell me who the top tight end is currently in points in our league.
Who's the top tight end currently in points in the league?
For the season total. Exactly.
I don't know. You would think Kelsey, but he's been kind of mediocre the last 5 weeks.
No, it's not Kelsey. It's somebody else. I just don't know who it is.
All right, I'll tell you that Kelsey is number 2 on the list. Right? George Kittle is number 3 on the list.
Oh, Taysom Hill, maybe?
Nope. Mark Andrews is number 4 on the list.
Okay.
You ready?
Go ahead.
TJ Hawkinson.
Oh, that's not a surprise at all.
But what I'm saying is, you don't think
he's been great.
Yeah, you don't think you're gonna get a good tight end until the season starts to play out, and then these great tight ends show up. It's like what Mike did this year. He started with trash, and he worked the waiver wire, and he's number 1.
No, he didn't. He started with a bunch of running backs that he can start he can start every week because of the way our league is, which is fine. And most people throw receivers there, but all his running backs were studs, especially. after the first couple of weeks, and that totally works. And it doesn't surprise me at all, because I had a feeling at the beginning of the season that both the Dolphins and Detroit were going to be high-scoring offenses all season, because Detroit ended the season that way, and Tua started the season healthy. And so, but I didn't draft that way because I feared the team so badly because of their last 20 years of play, which has nothing to do with the current year.
Right.
So I avoided them like an idiot. And here they are, some of the best fantasy teams, because their offenses are on fire, man.
Yeah.
Scoring over 30 points a week. Someone has to score those. They're the players, right?
Yeah, that's how Lions is coming back. He just has 3 and 4 Lions, and they're just scoring. It's like what my brother used to do. Like, get as many multiple players on one team, and you might have one guy get 20 and one guy get 10. But if you're have assets a part of a team that's scoring 30 points, you're going to get a combined, a floor of 40 points. It might be one guy getting 40 and one guy getting 0, or it could be 2 guys getting 20. But if you have a lot of pieces and good offenses, you're going to get a ton of points.
Yep. You just got to pick the right team, though. I've seen Andrew pick bad teams.
Yep, that's very true. Yeah, if you pick the wrong one, it's not fun. All right, guys, we're going to continue on with our Thanksgiving special tradition. How would you like to help me back with the Fantasy Feud game? What do you guys want to try it again?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Let's do it.
All right. In all fairness here, I'm having a hard time hearing Bernie. So you guys do what you got to do. But Ken, if you can just make sure that if when he gives an answer, just repeat it for me, or let me know if he goes first on these showdowns here. All right. So to take control of the board, I'm going to call out the question of the category. Just yell out your name. If you want to do Tampa Brady like last year in Team B, that's fine. Ken, you're going to be my referee here since I'm a little delayed here. And then we'll go with the best answer, and you can choose if you want to control the board or pass. Each round is like round 1's worth 1 point, round 2 is worth 2 points, round 3 is worth 3 points, and the team with the highest score wins this year's Thanksgiving Fantasy Feud. Are you guys ready to go?
Ready.
Yes.
All right. Get your hands on your imaginary buzzers here. Our first question is, which quarterback has thrown for the most passing touchdowns through week 11?
Team B.
All right, who went first there? Was it Bernie?
Bernie.
All right. Yep, go ahead, Team B. What's your first guess here?
It is going to be
What do you say, Ken? Sorry.
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
You said Jared Goff. Nope. All right, over to you, Ken. What's your guess here? This is the most passing touchdowns thrown through week 11.
Most passing touchdowns thrown. I'm just going to go with Tua. I'm going to be a homer.
Number 2 on the board. So, Tampa Brady, would you like to play or pass?
I'll play.
All right. You got 5 more.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is number 3. Just a little tip here. It's equal for both you guys. I'm just saying the last 3 guys, so everyone Patrick Mahomes and below are tied with the same number of passing touchdowns, whatever that's worth. All right, you're still up, Ken?
Hurts?
No. That's your first X. Oh, but there we go. Sorry. All right, 1X. You still have more guesses to go. What do you got, Ken?
Dak Prescott.
Yes. He is also tied with Patrick Mahomes at 19 touchdowns.
Yep. That's what I thought. Jason
Allen?
or whatever his name is.
Josh Allen. Yeah, I got you. Yes, he is number 1 with 22
Josh.
passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Doing good. Only 1X and 2 more to get.
I'll go with Purdy.
No.
Oh.
Again, these guys are tied with Mahomes and Prescott with 19 touchdowns.
I'll take. Wow, not even thinking of my own quarterback here. His name is Herbert.
Herbert is correct. Let's see, what number is he for? Number 4. All right, I have to say this one is the trickiest one. I'll give you. That's the hint there. It's
Okay.
a little bit off the board.
I'll go with Gino just for the hell of it.
Good try. That's a good guess. But no, that's your third X. So it goes over to Team B. Again, Ken, if you can tell me what he says, please.
I will.
All right, for the steal, Team B.
Is it the rookie Stroud?
Stroud.
No.
Oh,
One more guess for fun. The point goes to Ken.
Sam Howell.
You got it?
Sam Howell.
That's a good guess, too. All right. You guys good? Nope. You guys both get the same thing. Russell Wilson.
What?
Surprisingly. I know. He has no yards, but he has touchdowns. So nice job, though, guys. That was really good, Ken. Let's see. Well, I'll give you your score.
Good
You're
job,
on the
Ken.
left, so control 1.
Yeah, I won the weakest round.
I was
Let's do it.
hoping
Okay, that was
you
good.
wouldn't
That's
say
the
your
hardest
own
one 'cause it's
quarterback.
6.
I was like,
That's the
oh, he's
hardest
not
one
going to
for
say
me.
Herbert. He's not going to say Herbert.
He said Herbert. Oh, yeah, you thought before, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're on, let's see. So this is the next one. So we have Tom Brady's up 1-0. This is our next question here, category. There's 5 answers on the board. This one is who are the top, These 5 players have the most receiving yards through week 11. Most receiving yards.
Team
Tom
B.
Brady.
All right, Ken, what's your first answer here?
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill. That is number 1. Let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Alt F1. All right. Would you like to play or pass? Not gonna lie, it's easier when you play, Ken.
I'll play. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So you have the number 1. Tyreek Hill has 1,222 receiving yards through 11 weeks, or 11 weeks of NFL, but he's only played 10 weeks, so he already had a bye. All right. Who's left?
Keenan Allen. I'll just throw him out there.
Nice. Yes, indeed. Keenan Allen's number 4 with 1,011 yards. Nice job.
Jefferson.
No, he's not played enough.
Yeah, I thought so.
That's okay.
He had a few good weeks there.
He did have early had a lot of good games.
Everyone I'm thinking of has been out for weeks or had horrible weeks. Wow. I'm totally drawing a blank on every single player.
2, 1. That's your second X.
Yep.
All right.
That's my own fault.
That's all right. You still have
AJ
time
Brown.
here. AJ Brown, indeed. Yes. AJ Brown has 1,013 yards. The player who's number 2 is tied with him with the same amount of yards at 1,013.
Who is this guy? I know his name. I'm going to give him to Bernie. He's going to win because if I say him.
Mm-hmm.
Lamb.
Yes.
Yes.
That's it. We have one more player. And this is the only player on this list who's under 1,000 yards at 898.
Well, Judy, I'm just going to say him because
Oh.
Russell was on the board.
Yep,
But
that's
it's not
fine.
him.
Nope, it is not. All right. So this for the Steel Team B, one guy left.
Ken, who are the 2 top offenses that you just mentioned? The Dolphins and Detroit. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, nice job. The sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown, is correct. Nice job. Well done. Our score is now 2-1. And we have, let's see, please do this right. Nope. There we go. No, we're doing 4. We're on 4. There we go. Okay. So our last category here is most rushing touchdowns scored through 11 weeks. Most rushing touchdowns scored.
Okay.
Team B call it or not?
No one's called it.
No one's calling it? Come on, guys.
I'm sorry,
Just-
Team B.
Team B.
Okay. What is it? What does he got, Ken?
Let's say Mozart.
Mozart.
Mostert is number 1. Number 1. Bernie, would you like to pass or play? Again, Ken, I just need your help on his answers.
I'll pass.
He's passing.
He's passing. There's only 3 more to get. That's all right.
Yeah, but I don't know the running backs that well this year. Most rushing touchdowns. Eckler, probably not right because he's been out.
You are correct on that. He's been out. So that's first X.
I'm just using Ken to eliminate the
3 more
answers.
to go.
I know you are. I'm drawing a total blank on the guy's name I'm thinking of.
What team does he play for? What number is he?
He's in San Francisco. He's McCaffrey.
McCaffrey is correct. Number 3. He's got 9 rushing touchdowns. I'm not sure his total touchdowns, but he gets a lot of receiving ones. But yes, he has 9 rushing touchdowns. The
Okay.
4th player is tied with McCaffrey at 9, whatever that's worth.
Okay. It's not worth anything to me because I don't
Okay.
know any of their names.
That's fine.
I don't know any of their names, man. I keep forgetting their names. So
Say the team first, and you'll get the name.
3, 2.
go ahead.
All right, that's X number 2. Got 2 to go. One X left before you have to pass.
Bernie's got it. I know he does. He knows it, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
They're just not on my team.
They're not on my team either.
I give up. I don't know. My brain is blank on running backs. It's too late for me to play guessing games.
No more guesses?
No more guesses. Go ahead, Bernie.
All right, for the steal. Team B.
I believe he is on your team and Baltimore. Gus Edwards.
Gus Edwards.
Gus Edwards is correct. He was on your team.
Didn't I
team,
just
Tom
say
Brady.
that earlier in this conversation? Or was that not on camera? Was that before we started airing?
I'm not sure. Because I can't hear you, so I don't know. All right. Our last one here. This is a little trickier. He's the only one on this list who's not a running back. At 9 rushing touchdowns.
Hurts.
Hurts is correct. So that's there. But the winner on that round was Bernie. So that's the right score.
Bernie, it's 2 years in a row you beat me.
Is that right? All right, guys. Well, congratulations there. Bam, 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 bam. Bam. Let's go back to this.
I would take your in-season record over this victory, honestly, though. As I am currently eliminated.
Hey,
You would have done that last year, too, because I was in the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you so very much for joining me again for our At the Bar Thanksgiving special. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, Mike.
Oh,
Anytime.
thanks, Mike. Thanks for having us.
All right, guys. Thank you. All right. And I'd like to thank all of you guys for watching another At the Bar Thanksgiving special. Big thank you to both Bernie, a.k.a. Team B, and Ken, a.k.a. Tampa Brady. And I would like to thank all of you for watching and or listening to Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. Don't forget, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and Google Podcasts. And of course, if you want to find our video feeds, just head over to wingmanentertainment.net or check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Wingman Fantasy Football. I'd like to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. May your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty, and we will see you next time.